Thank you for joining For Our Special Kids, where we openly and honestly discuss the magic and the mess of raising a child with special needs. We are thrilled to have you here and hope this time provides you with some wonder and wisdom. I'm your host, Jennifer Lansing. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to For Our Special Kids. Today's delayed episode is really close to my heart. Noelle Deane asked me to share a bit more of Teal and my story, so she signed up to interview me. The really unique and fun part of this is that Teal and Noelle are quite connected, and Teal actually jumped into this conversation and began asking questions of her mama. Mind you, some of the questions were harder than I would have expected and definitely a bit more difficult to answer than I would have expected. After we finished the recording, Noelle said, "I wouldn't have asked you those questions." So Teal pushed me to get some pretty real answers and to discuss the magic and the mess of being her mama. If you enjoy what you hear and the time I spend putting these episodes together for you, will you please rate and review us on your listening platform? It absolutely helps other people find our show and makes a big difference in those search engines. And do tell a friend or a caregiver or a teacher or a therapist about us if you would. And finally, be sure to star us or favorite us so that you get notifications when there is a new episode. All right, on with the episode. And as always, I hope you enjoy and let me know what you think. I'm going to just jump right in. So I'm with Noelle Deane, who is an intuitive, beautiful, psychic medium, therapist. How else do you describe yourself?
Another soul trying to find my truest sense of purpose and who I am and my people, and really just trying to figure out how to continue to learn how to love and embrace my life and my people and myself.
Oh, I love that. You said, I think we need to tell more of your story, Jen. Uncomfortable pause. However, it's true that I do want to share more of my story with you all, because Teal's transformative being in our world hasn't just affected the people around her. They've completely affected my life and transformed my world. And I don't know if I share enough of that with you. So Noelle said that she would kind of interview me. Weird. And I am honored to bring you on and have you ask some questions that maybe you're curious about, or maybe some of the other listeners might be curious about. So I'm going to stop talking and we'll let you take over.
Okay. So thank you for that beautiful introduction. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have kids of my own, and being on your podcast and listening to your podcast and hearing the absolute, like, I'm getting a visual of like taffy, like the stretching that one has to do to accommodate, love unconditionally, manage expectations, give as much as you can, have some sense of yourself when you have a child with special needs, especially a lot of special needs, extra needs. Like, I couldn't imagine what that would be like every day. So I have a tremendous amount of love and respect for you. And all the parents that, give, I mean, it's one thing to give of yourself for your child, but I mean, your whole life has changed because of Teal. You're not resentful and bitter or wishing you could be something you thought you should have been, kind of thing. You're transforming yourself. That's just way cool.
So I will be brutally honest that there are still many times that I pause and think, yeah, I would like parts of my life to be different. I would never trade in Teal, goodness gracious. But I mean, if we're going to be honest, there you go. It's magical and it's messy. And it's also true just to say there are days that I wish that I had a child that could just go on a regular play date. I wish I could just drop her off in another house and say, have fun. and not have to go through like, okay, you can't give her things that are too chewy, and you definitely can't give her things that are crunchy. And so don't give her pretzels, and she can't have chips. And so you can't really give her all the snacks that all the other kids, like goldfish crackers, maybe, it would just be easier. Or, hey, she still has issues with potty training. And so you got to make sure you pop her on the toilet every hour and a half or so, or else you're going to get in trouble. And oh, here's your extra clothes just in case you do forget. Or hello. I mean, I have a lot of jealousy towards other parents when randomly someone's like, oh, hey, I hear them at like school pickup at the end of the day. Hey, can we do a school play? Can we do a play date? And I'm all, oh, I really would love to just let that happen for Teal. And so I need to get better at that. And I do need to get better at giving her those experiences. And you know what? If she potties, or I guess choking is not really something that I'm willing to support. I'm like, if she chokes, it's total. No, that's okay. There you go. I digress. Sorry. I kind of wanted to jump on that because that is really the honest truth.
Well, I love that. And look, you really need to get better about having moments of jealousy of parents who have, quote, like easy children. What is your expectation of yourself?
Yeah, you're kind.
Oh, it makes me want to cry.
If someone could see your face, I mean, you were crying, but then you're kind of giving me a look like, come on, Jen. Like, okay, swap. Exactly, like a slap in my
Snap out of
face.
it.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Let's say that part of your life lesson in this life is just pure acceptance. You're really practicing that with Teal, and in some ways you bathe in it for Teal. Can't you give yourself a bit more of that kind of grace and say, well, of course. Of course, look, just like if your husband, had some kind of accident and was in a wheelchair and needed you to take care of all of his physical needs, you're still with the man you want to be
Mm-hmm.
with and spend the rest of your life with. But wouldn't you be jealous that you can't go dancing with him? Doesn't mean you would trade it, and it
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's not a betrayal. And maybe it feels a little bit like that when you're feeling that. Do you feel like you're kind of
Mm-hmm.
praying Teal in some kind of way that you feel that way?
There's definitely some truth to holding myself accountable to not having those thoughts because she is so sensitive. She is very in my head. She is feeling me right now. Like she just gave me a bump. Ooh, I can feel it. She just sent me a bump from school. Like, it's all right, mama. It's okay. So yeah, I do have to hold myself I have to carefully monitor some of the thoughts that are in my head, because I know she feels them. And I do know that, or I believe, I suppose is the best word to say, that I'm not alone in having a child that has extra special needs that is highly sensitive. And she is a part of me beyond just the, oh, I gave birth to her part of me. She is in there. She's in my head. She's in my thoughts. So yeah, I do have to hold myself a little bit higher.
And the thought came to me about like a trade-off. Like you might have some joy and freedom with a child that you can say, be free, I'll see you at 3 o'clock. But you also now have this companionship within your soul in a way that other parents wouldn't necessarily because you've tuned in.
That's a beautiful statement. Companionship for my soul. Oh,
Sign up
goodness
for that.
me. Like, hello. Nice job, Noelle. It's true. It's true. I have a much different relationship with my verbalish daughter than I do think that some parents with typically, I put that all in quotes, developing children have, period. I mean, she was giving me a hug today, like, I don't know, she's a healer. And so every now and then when I get those hugs from her, I'm all, what's going on? Something that you're picking up on that I need to be aware of? Like, so yeah, I mean, she does connect really. She connects with my heart. You said that one time that you said maybe she needs to hear your heartbeat more. And I had said, so I know that she puts her ear on my heart at times. And you said, is there any way that you could capture that sound for her? I was like, oh, I'm still trying to figure that out. If any listener has a solution for that, let me know. Stethoscope involved, I'm sure. Or ultrasound. Hey, can I borrow someone's ultrasound? Tom Cruise, can you just pull that one out and head it over? He had one for what's her bucket. You're looking at me like, what are you talking about?
I was wondering if that had something to do with Scientology. So I had to take a moment to be like,
No, well, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. He bought like an ultrasound so she didn't have to go anywhere. Okay, I digress. See, this is in my head.
very
Ooh, you
neighborhood.
guys are getting a snippet into what's in there.
But let's go back to what you were just saying about now, look, other, I
Hmm.
don't know, the experience of generalized experience of parents with children with special needs, if they are tuned in the way that you are with Teal. Well, possibly not. When you were saying about her hugging you in a particular way and feeling like maybe she's giving you a healing, what came to me was that's how she cares for you. Like that's the reciprocity. Just like if your child on Mother's Day was able to make you tea and cereal and or PB&J and brings it to your bed and just that sense of reciprocity, Teal
Mm-hmm.
has her own version of that, which
Mm-hmm.
is pretty amazing. It's not like it's all about her and everything about taking care of her and I mean, it's not.
No, I mean, I do talk about how I feel so lucky that she chose me to be her mom. I mean, I get to be with Teal every day. There are people that would give anything to have Teal's energy around them every day. I really do believe that. I mean, people comment, strangers comment, all sorts of people comment, and I get to have her energy in my world every day. How lucky am I? She is a magical human being. And I've talked since she was very young that she's been smarter than me, that she has been brought here to teach me, to help me evolve into a higher human being. She is here to tap into the consciousness of humanity. She is here to do that. And it just so happened that she chose me to come along for the ride. Lucky me.
So, just a couple things I picked up on is what I got. The phrase that came to me was that she brought her soul's wisdom. Yeah. And part of why
Oh,
she chose
yes.
you is I saw you with a megaphone because you're going to broadcast this kind of thing. But
Yes.
look, and I could be wrong, but and you say I get to be with Teal every day, and I know that you mean that. You've said that many times, even just to me. So I get that you mean that down to your bone marrow. And
Yeah.
maybe with and I hear about being around such a sensitive
Mm.
human that you want to monitor your thoughts because she can hear them and feel them. And I'd also wonder if because that's a hard level to micromanage yourself at. And I'm just wondering if that could be maybe a moment that you have
Sure.
with her of like, hey, kiddo, can you give me some grace for those moments when I'm just feeling sad and I know you won't go somewhere with it and feel like I don't absolutely treasure you.
Yeah, we have those conversations. I am human. She did choose me. I've actually told her many times, dude, you chose this. Like, hey, you chose this very talkative, spirited, temper flaring mother. You chose this. Just like I chose her. I do believe that. However, I mean, I lose my shit. I mean, I do. I try not to lose it on her because a lot of the times it's just my patience is short or I'm really fatigued or my back hurts from carrying her, and I lose it and I get antsy and my patience goes out the window and I have absolutely stepped back and said, "Okay, Mama made a mistake. I'm so sorry." I'll give you a story about the first time that I said it out loud in like a public setting. It was so funny. We had just found out that Teal was a healer. We were in Hawaii when we found that out, and we can talk about that later. But I was sitting in, I'd gotten upgraded to first class. I was flying a ton, and she was with me, but she was under two. So I think she was maybe like 18 months old. And I was starting to pick up on the fact that she was feeling other people's pain. And I was worried, one, that she was actually bringing it into her body and feeling it. And I had some energy work done with her, and everyone said, no, 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 she's just feeling it. She knows when someone's in pain and she's not taking it on. I was like, okay, good. So I'm sitting there, and in the first class, we hadn't taken off yet. And this man sits down across the aisle from us, and Teal would not stop looking at him, like just eyes connected, eyes connected. And I was like, huh, that's usually like an indicator that she's connecting with someone and she's feeling their pain, you know, because I am who I am. I was like, excuse me, sir. I have a weird question for you. Are you in pain? I mean, seriously, who does that? I was like, and he takes a deep breath, pauses, and he says, well, I'm not really in pain. I was like, oh, okay. I said, my daughter's a healer. And so she just connects with people that sometimes she wants to give a healing to. And he says, well, I'm in stage 4 congestive heart failure. I was like, well, that counts, I suppose. So I said, do you want to hold my daughter? And he was like, oh my gosh, yes. So he takes her, they connect. He says to me, he's holding her away from him, and he says, I can feel waves of energy coming out of her. And I said, yeah, I know. And he hands her back. Bless my daughter. She telepathically looks at me and says, you will never hand me off to anyone without my permission ever again. And it was the most stern message from my 18-month-old. I held her back and I said out loud, oh my gosh, Teal, you are so right. I am so sorry. You're absolutely correct. I never should have done that. I'm so sorry you didn't reach. I'm talking to her out loud. Now, the people around me probably think that, I mean, my daughter is not talking back to me. I'm literally like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I never should have. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. And she's like, it's fine. It's fine. Just don't ever do that again. I was like, message heard. So a couple of things here. One, the guy still got the healing and it was amazing, but such a good thing for all of us if we have verbalish children to try to connect on a different level so that you can hear those messages when they're upset. I did break a rule. And from that point on, if anyone said, can I hold her? I'm like, hold please. Teal. And she'd be like, yes. Or sometimes she'd be an absolute no. I'm like, nope, she's not into it right now. I'm so sorry. And, you just change the subject. Or if she goes to someone, like, yeah, totally. She's signaling to me, I want to go to her. And now because she's older, people don't necessarily want to hold her, but they want to be close to her. And she is so clear about eye contact. And she will there's only happened a couple of times where she's like, nope, not no. And I just intervene and I'm like, Teal's not into it right now. It's all right. You can totally step back a little bit and keep talking to me, but Teal's at her limit right now. So I just vomited on you, but it was like the first time that I just was like, whoa, crap. If you're gonna be telepathically connected to your kid, you better make sure you keep listening.
And be prepared to be kind of
reprimanded.
Yeah. When you said about handing her over, I was like, oh, okay.
I mean, it's so shocking to say now because I just don't do it at all. But yeah, I just gave her over. I was like, what the hell was I thinking?
Well, you didn't know. And so that set a precedent. So you learned after that. But, also, I remember being a kid and being forced to say hello or kiss or hug people I didn't know or people who I didn't feel good around. And that's like a generational thing, I believe, now, to not make children do that kind of thing. And I love that. We have friends who we don't see their son more than once every probably 2 or 3 years. And I think he's like 11 now. I've been seeing him easily since he's 9. And they were at our house not that long ago. And his dad says, do you want to give he calls me Aunt Noelle. It's not my nephew. Anyway, he says, do you want to give Aunt Noelle a hug? And he just kind of stands there. And I'm like, no problem, kiddo. So you respecting her boundaries in that way. I love that.
Exactly. Well, and you know what? I was replaying it in my head. Mm-hmm. I never would have done that if she hadn't shown so much interest in him. I mean, she was following him and looking at him. And so it seemed kind of natural, but she didn't put her arms out. She didn't and it's something very good that you also really have to pay attention to the nonverbal cues, not just the telepathic cues.
Yeah. And what she was signaling actually would have made sense that you would have even thought that. You don't know. It's like if, I work with crystals. If I felt like my crystal wanted to connect with someone or they felt drawn to my crystal, I might think to say, do you want to hold it? Versus, how about I'm just going to put it next to you? I mean, totally different situation, right. But it's using telepathy and our own intuition to understand what to do. And I can totally get how that would have been kind of a confusing moment. And that you respect her and her abilities and her needs and wants enough.
Yeah. But man, did I learn my lesson.
And I bet you've never done that since. You always ask what she wants, and you make people deal with. Sorry,
Yeah.
she's not up for that right now. She's done.
Yeah. Yeah. So funny that you mentioned crystals. I'm holding on to a pink opal. It called me. I've got a bunch of crystals on my desk, and it was like, "You need to hold me for this interview." I was like, "Okay." Pink opals are, loving mom, beautiful energy, soft. Yeah. So I was like, "Okay, you can come along with me on this ride."
Very nice. I just felt drawn to pick up my shungite just a few moments ago. Okay. Well, I felt like I was supposed to ask Teal what to ask next. So I'm feeling some emotion.
Oh, beautiful. What did she say?
So she said she wanted you to talk about the difference from when you feel like a good mom from when you feel like a terrible mom. She says, "Forgive me, I'm driving a point home."
Oh, God, Teal. Okay. So when I feel like a good mom, the first thing that popped into my head was, do you ever feel like a good mom? And that's just mom guilt right there. I mean, it's just a true, honest, like that is just a phrase. Like, oh, I'm a good mom when I'm like, ugh. But thank you, Teal, for calling me out. Okay. When do I feel like I'm a good mom? I feel best when I've taken care of myself first. I'll say that. And I know that's so cliche, but when I set the alarm early and do my meditation and do my journaling, which inevitably turns into automatic writing, and I get messages from either Teal's higher self or my higher self or our spirit team that's working together, I am such a better mom, period. Hands down, no doubt. I'm also a good mom when I realize that a schedule and timing and being 5 minutes late or it's fine. I'm so much more present with her. And that's when I feel like I am the best is when I am connected in my heart to her. I'm not rushing her because it's my agenda. Like even this morning, she's just been having some hard times getting out of bed. And I've been trying to make it more fun to get out of bed, trying to make it more, giggly and funny and tickle and not crazy tickle where to get off me. I don't want you to tickle me, but, sweet things or going down the stairs like an airplane or, just trying to do that. And when I'm rushed or when I'm just flying out of bed, I'm not that mom. And she probably is like, yes, I'd like you to talk more about that, mom, because I like that mom. When do I feel like I'm a terrible mom? When my patience is at a low, when I'm keeping score. I'm very good at keeping score with my husband. And I'm not a good mom when I'm doing that. I keep score about how many times I've bathed her, how many times I've put her to bed. When was the last time I got to go do something fun for me? When I'm keeping score, I'm a really bad mom. I'm also a bad person. When I'm keeping score, like I feel yucky about myself because it's not about keeping score point for point. I do believe it's important about having an overall general, hey, I'm giving a lot right now, and you're not. And in the future, like in the near future, I look forward to you giving a little bit more, right? That's okay. That's healthy conversation between a mom and a dad, between a wife and a husband, or a wife and a spouse, or a husband, whomever. Between they and they, let's go there. That's healthy. I do believe keeping that type of a general tally of where you are in your bank account, an emotional, mental, even financial bank account. I think you need to have those conversations. But for Teal, when I'm doing that, I'm not present with her and enjoying my time.
Yeah, you're reminding me of a video I saw, probably just a clip on Instagram of somebody interviewing Brene Brown. Did you see that? She talks about marriage. She says, people say marriage is
Uh,
50-50. I'm
yeah,
totally paraphrasing her. She says it more eloquently, but anyway, and she's like, it's never 50-50.
yeah.
Sometimes, or 100-100. She's like, sometimes I get home and I'm like, He says
No.
to her husband, "I got like 10%." He's like, "No worries, I got it."
Oh, that's so good.
Look, in my marriage also, and there are times when it's like I need to do
Hmm.
80 and he's able to do 20 and sometimes the other way around, and that's how it is. So, but it sounds like when you're keeping score, you feel unkind.
Totally. Nitpicky, naggy, all those things. And that's really the funny thing is like that. I'm not really that way with Teal. I'm not nitpicky and naggy with her, but if I'm nitpicky and naggy with my husband, it transcends into how I feel. And that is what then she feels. And she feels it, man. Whoo, boy, she's got the feelies.
Yeah, when you were talking about that, the word that came to me was tense. So I hear you about, hey, I don't want to have these like negative thoughts about Teal because she's going to pick up on that. But what feels more pervasive is that feeling of tense, and that she would totally feel that. And now her nerve endings are kind of raw and hyped up. And so I could see that if you,
Yes.
that is also still a high standard, but different than micromanaging and monitoring your thoughts to never have a negative thought. But having tension, doesn't feel good to anybody.
No. Actually, it's really good. That's a really good thing for me to remember. Like last night I had play practice and my mom came over. Bless her. She's here for 6 weeks. Oh, it helps me so much. But she came over and I could feel my anxiety. I could feel because I had to get hurt. And I was behind schedule and I didn't get Teal bathed and all that. And yeah, it was just this tense energy. And the day before, tense energy. And that is a really good thing for me to be aware of. Pull out my petitgrain oil again and sniff that when I'm feeling tense. Because that's a very visceral thing that I can attach to. I have a hard time getting in front of like anger, but tenseness, I can get in front of that. I can feel that before something happens. Ooh, yay. Good job, Noelle. I like it.
Yeah. When my cat Tiger was alive, and through my friends who are animal mediums, they would be able to, give me some extra communication. And it turned out that he would do this thing where he would hover by the couch,
Mm-hmm.
which I would only sit on the couch really at night when we're like watching TV together. But he would give me this like panicky look, like, "Come on, come to the," and I was like, "Dude, I'll brush you later. Leave me alone." And it turned out that when he felt my tension and he was super tuned in and very sensitive, he'd be like, "You need to relax." So that would be his way of trying to support me, would be luring me to the couch so that I would sit with him on my lap or I'd brush him. I would
Yes.
take this break and get more centered. But sometimes I just looked at him like, "No,
Yes.
now I'm going to stay tense because I have stuff to do."
Not now.
Um,
Yeah, but even just the visual cue of, oh, hold on, he's picking up that I'm tense. I know one of my cats does that too. She's like sits down, like I can't. But even her asking me to sit down is a good like, okay, take a breath. You're getting too into it. Doesn't matter in the
yeah. And
grand
what a
scheme of
helpful
things.
reality check, even though it
Yeah.
feels kind of frustrating in the moment of like, I don't have time for this. Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think this is Teal also. I'm getting a visual of her and getting the question. What is your favorite thing about being a mom and your least favorite thing?
Oh my god, Teal. I love how Teal's running this interview. Very cool. Hmm. Okay. This is what so my favorite thing about being a mom is how much I'm learning. I mean, yeah, I could say the hugs and I could say the cuddle time and I could say hearing her laugh and I could say all of that stuff, but how much I have learned is just profound, mind blowing. I am a completely 180-degree different person than I was before Teal was born. I tell this story to people that are contemplating having a child. I'm like, it's all good if you don't have a child. Like, it's all good. But this is one thing that I'll tell you is when Teal was born, I had this part of my heart that grew and opened up. Now, it wasn't there before Teal, And as a result, I didn't know I was missing out on anything. And so life was just fine. It was great. We were talking before, I had a very full life before a child, extremely. I traveled all over the world. I had a huge multi-million-dollar business. I was coaching and teaching and training and facilitating huge events all over the world. I was full in the best possible way. And if Teal hadn't come in, I would have still been full in the best possible way. However, she decided that we had this contract and she was going to come in. Now, she's an IVF baby, so I did make a conscious choice. But this part of me grew out of me, and this hole that I didn't have opened up and she filled it. So I think that's really important for people to hear. Like, you do not have to have a child to be full. You don't have to be a mom to be full. Nope. I was completely fine. Now, am I a better person because of her? Hell yeah. Have I learned nonstop since the moment they said, "You're having your baby today"? And I was like, "No, I'm flying to LA." You know what the doctor said? Oh God, no, it was so scary. He said, "Well, I can't tell you to not get on the plane. I can't prevent you from getting on the plane. But I can tell you that I don't think your child will be alive when you land." And I looked at my husband and I said, "I guess we're having our baby today." And forevermore, life has changed. Yeah. So that's my favorite thing about being a mom is just how much I've learned. It just shocks me. The worst thing? I hate this question. Stupid Teal. um the worst thing. Oh God, there are a lot. God, that sucks that there's so many things that are popping out. I was gonna say comparison. It's really hard. You just can't help it as a mom. Just can't. I try desperately. Me time. And that's kind of a cliched answer too, but it's true. Guilt. Just always feeling, especially with a child with special needs, there's always the what's next? What am I missing? What am I not doing? Man, am I going to look back and wish that I had done more math with her? Had I wish I'd read more books with her? Do I wish that I had done that therapy or spent more time in that, learning about that? I mean, because you can just go down rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole for your child. And so the way I've kind of remedied that is I let Teal lead me. I really try to let her lead the conversation. I try to let her lead who comes into my life. I mean, someone walked up to me in the middle of the parking lot to Safeway the other day, and she's like, "Oh, I've been thinking about you and Teal." And I was like, "Oh." And boom, she talked to me about this new type of therapy and treatment. And I was like, "See, there you go." I didn't look it up. I didn't go find it. It found me. And that is how Teal works her little magic. Long
Great
answer.
answer.
Oh,
Totally
well.
get the comparison part. Something just popped out to me when you were talking about guilt, and
Yeah.
I'm glad you expanded on that because I was wondering exactly what you would be feeling guilty about. And it occurred to me, with more like neurotypical children, let's say, there's so much literature and research and easy observation about like helping them through their developmental milestones. What do you teach next? Well, this is what they're covering in school, and they must have done research for that. But you have so much mystery. Oh my goodness. Like how, not even what to teach, but how you could possibly teach that with somebody who operates so differently. Oh my goodness. I mean, that's a huge like boulder pushing
Yeah.
up the hill, and you're anticipating ahead of time. It's like not like foresight, but some kind of like even like guilt ahead of time. Like you're already anticipating that you have messed it up. Yeah, anticipatory guilt. Yeah.
Yeah. Anticipatory guilt. Yeah. And it's okay. She's also taught me to live a lot more in the moment and follow her lead. I wish more moms and dads would follow their child's lead. Teal didn't come in here to learn from me. So I remember the first time I was going, well, not the first time, I was going through colors with her. She rolled her eyes at me. She was like 13 months old or something. We were obviously not the first time going through colors, but we were going through this color book and, blah, blah, blah. And my mom was here and Teal rolls her eyes at me. And I was like, uh-oh. And my mom said, did she just roll her eyes at you? I was like, yep. And that's when I just realized this isn't her first go around. And later, I remember I was in London drinking. I was on a business meeting, but Alex and Teal were there. So everyone was there. A lot of times we'd go to a business meeting and we would just take the whole family and then go have some fun afterwards. And we were at this culinary thing and I called my mom. She's like, have you been drinking? I'm like, yes, but here's the thing. Remember when Teal rolled her eyes? And I was like, she's like, yes, like with colors, whatever. I gave her the story. And she's like, yeah. I said, it's because she doesn't see color the way we see color. So when I was pointing out like green, she was like, oh my God, that's what you call green in her head, right? Like, okay, I'll learn your word for green. But if you could only see all the greens that I see, you wouldn't be able to just put one color on that. And it was like, Mom, I totally get it now. Like, she does not see. So that's why, like, if colors are close, she'll be like, I don't know, that one's orange, I suppose. And she's learned it now. And I feel bad because I don't want to take those. I don't want her to put orange into orange now. I still want her to see all of the oranges, all of the vibrations that I can't see, all of the maybe the sounds that it makes, or that maybe the orange color talks to her. I want to make sure that she doesn't lose that because we're forcing her into this socialized standard of how we as a society see and hear and view things. It's a real trick for me. I'm trying to figure out how I don't take that away because she's 7, it's about that time where they start shutting down.
Yeah, I'm kind of sitting here like, I mean, how did you get that information? Because obviously it
Yeah.
came later. You had this big aha. And I hear you about, and
Yeah.
what a dilemma. If we looked at every child like a spiritual being, we wouldn't teach them. This is just my philosophy. I'm not
Yeah.
saying this is like
Mm-hmm.
the way it is or should be, but I interact with people who are no longer walking on the earth and energetic beings. To me, it's a sad situation to socially, culturally teach people that once somebody passes, they are gone. Don't talk to them. They no longer exist in our mind, except as the idea of a soul somewhere traveling away from us kind of thing. And so you are describing, like, how do I not take I don't want to say magical because you used that word before and it feels, it's not really magical. I mean, it's, let's say, spiritual or energetic or, I don't know, soulful.
She's a higher being. She's a higher being. Yeah.
How do you not take that experience away from any child, not even just because you've tuned in to feel? How did you know
Mm-hmm.
what was going on? Did you have a dream later where she explained it, or?
I mean, again, it was just, I don't know if someone said something like, oh, how have you ever thought about like why we know yellow is yellow or something like that? And it was just like, oh my goodness. Now, Teal does that stuff to me all the time. She just drops bombs on me, and we all can get them from our children, but you've got to just listen. And it's not, so she doesn't drop bombs on me in terms of like words. It's not a word, it's a knowing. So I have definitely claircognizance. I completely get the, oh, I just knew that thing. And it happens a lot with me. And that is something that she just sent this little energy packet of information to me. Boom, I was able to receive it. It connected. I got it. And it changed the way I interacted with her. It was only a couple months later. It wasn't like years later. I mean, enough time that, I mean, I remember that moment, those moments very clearly. My inhibitions may have been a little lower, and maybe that's how I got it. Now I do that through meditation, right? So I wasn't meditating as much as I was then. And so maybe she was waiting for a time when I was just a little less inhibited. And you guys are like, you're inhibited, Jen? I'm like, yeah, sometimes. But, so that, I mean, I think I'm not encouraging people to go drink. What I'm saying is that it did, my guard was just a little bit lower, and I probably created a little opening in there where she could sneak that energy packet of information in. Now I do that through meditation or shamanic journeys where I put an intention out there, or automatic writing, right? There's a bunch of different ways that you can lower those walls a little bit or just make them more permeable, right? And so those messages can come in easier. And if that's one thing that someone takes away from this, is there are so many different ways to get messages, but you've got to lower that veil a little bit, or you got to make it thinner a little to actually receive it.
Yes. And so I just want to translate what you said when you're saying dropping bombs. What you're talking about are downloads and downloads of information. And also just not poops. What else would be
Not
considered a bomb?
poops.
Like a truth bomb, or and that is how you receive information. And your mind was less inhibited thanks to the alcohol, and through meditation, definitely that happens. Or I call it like plugging in, because meditation, I'm like, am I supposed to be keeping quiet in my head? Because I can't really do that. And also your mind was less busy. There's just less
Right.
traffic sometimes. That's also why we get information sometimes at 3:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
because around us is quiet. Our own head is quieter as you're falling asleep. Some people get information in dreams. So I was wondering how that came to you. So I appreciate the explanation. And I think claircognizance is like the trickiest of the clairs, because at least with clairvoyance, when you see things, you're like, I know what I saw. I'm not making this up. Claircognizance, it's like, boom, it's in your head,
Right.
and there's no second check kind of thing. The only thing I can say, and you definitely are giving like a testimony to
Right.
this, is it feels to me like a one way to feel validation that you really are getting information and you're not making it up, which is everybody's concern, is that it's genuinely surprising to you. Like that you got that. You never would have thought that, and that it came to you so clearly. Boom, that is a download.
Yes. And it happens more often than, well, it happens a lot more now, but I actually, let me rephrase that. I don't think it happens more now. I think all of those messages were still there. But if you are not consciously open to receiving them, then they can't connect. I was talking to my niece yesterday, and she's like, "Oh, Jen, I'm having all these dreams and they're coming true." And so we were chatting, and she's like, "And then I had this thought and it came true. And how did I know that?" And I said to her, I said, "Well, you started talking about it more openly. So now your spirit team, because you're sharing it with me, right? You shared the first time that a dream, and then you shared it with your friends, and then you started talking about it. And so now your spirit team's like, yes, she's finally getting it." And I said, how, they've probably been trying to do this to you since you were like 4 or 3, but now you're finally talking about it and you're finally open about it. And so they're like, fantastic. She's finally getting it. And I was like, how frustrated do you think they've been for the last 14 years, waiting for you to open your crap up so that they could get in there? She's laughing at me, but I think it's really true that they are always sending us messages. They are always giving us pictures. They are always talking to us in dreams. They are always, and the frustration level that they all must be at is like pulling their hair out. They must all be bald up there. They're like, nobody is getting anything down there. I don't know. And they're up there like doing team meetings. Like, how do we break into this very closed, non-open society? But there you go.
This is great.
Yeah.
This is great. And I hear you. And dreams are like a great example. I have been recording my dreams either in a dream journal, not 100% of the time, but even if I do it like 60, and I have to remember the dream as soon as like the moment I wake up or it's
Yeah.
gone, right? You could track your dreams or you could poo-poo your dreams and be like, I've recognized it's a way I get information, even though I have a hard time remembering them, but I work harder at it. Imagine texting somebody and they like never respond. At some point, you're like, I'll try once in a while, like on their birthday, maybe, but
Right.
let's be realistic. If you're not open, you're not open. People might still try to send little pieces, but once you start listening and they know you're listening, they'll be like, hey, paying attention. Here's another one. Here's another one. Here's another one.
Yeah.
Just being observant.
Yeah. I mean, she has completely changed my whole world and what I pay attention to. I mean, you can focus on the negative. If you want to focus on the negative, you're going to get more negative. I mean, that's just basic law of attraction stuff. If you focus on the positive, you can get more positive. It's the law of attraction. I mean, this is not a new concept for many people, but if you want to focus on getting signs, then you'll get more signs. If you want to focus on your dreams, then you'll get more dream messages. I mean, it's just how it works. It just is how it works. All right. Are there any last questions?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Well, I think there's something to bring up about what you were saying about it's how much you've learned, which is your favorite thing about being a mom. But what you described was more than just stuff you learned. You have transformed and grown in ways you never would have expected, didn't feel like they were lacking, and didn't even like show up on your radar. And as a result, you are, from what you're describing, way more intuitive, open, connected, interacting with the energies of the universe in a way you never did before. Certainly reaching out to other moms. And, I'm seeing a line of women holding hands. I know it's parents, not just moms. And you're all walking in one line together. So that kind of reaching out and celebrating the little uniquenesses of your children. It's bigger than just knowing more. I mean, you can be smarter, but you're brighter.
Yeah.
Like as a light brighter.
I am. It's easy to say I'm a different person, actually. That's easy. Since Teal, I started working with oils. I started working with crystals. I started working with automatic writing, with vibration, with mediumship, with psychic abilities, with shamanism. All of that stuff has come as a result of having a daughter that I knew I had to step up to be her mom. And when I say step up, I mean, I knew that I had to raise my vibration to meet her or to even come close to meeting her. I can't meet her, dude. She's so vibrationally higher than me. But that's what I've done. My vibration has lifted. And I'm sure that's what you're equating to light. I'm brighter. I shine brighter, but it's because she makes me shine brighter. I don't have a choice. Surprise, mama, you are going to shine brighter because you have to. And that's what a lot of their guides are telling me. What's a lot of what her higher self is telling me is it is time to shine the light. It's time to be brighter. It is time to share Teal's message to this world. It is. And they tell me all the time. And they're kind of like, enough already. Enough. Get on with it. Start shining brighter for the whole world to see because they need to hear Teal's message.
Yeah, I'm getting the megaphone again. And what came to me was part of how you've changed. And yes, you can say you're a different person. The message I got was that you have a depth of character and knowing that in your words, you would say, I wouldn't trade for the power of the universe.
Very true. Yeah. I hope someday everybody gets to meet Teal. Makes me all emotional.
They will through your words.
Yeah. Thanks for interviewing me.
It was a pleasure. It was awesome that Teal came in because we came in not with a list of questions or even a sense of where we were going to go. I love that she came in to kind of boss us both around a little bit.
Welcome to my world. Yeah, it was really cool that she dropped in with the questions.
Definitely.
Good on you, Teal. And good on you for recognizing that she wanted to pop in and play for a little bit. Now go back to school, Teal. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you found one or two meaningful nuggets of information to make your day better. If you think there's value in what we do, please take a moment to tell another friend, family member, or a caregiver. We'd love to hear from you at forourspecialkids@gmail.com. You can send in a question, a comment, a topic that you'd like to learn more about, or if you'd like us to highlight a certain person, please send that information to us. It makes our show so much better and so much more valuable for you. Our Facebook and Instagram handle is For Our Special Kids. And finally, remember to witness the wonder and the wisdom within yourself and others. Until next time.